So in a big news day, here's the other thing that happened. The January 6th Commission convened on Capitol Hill for its first day of hearings. And if you tuned in, we did, hoping for an answer to some of the many outstanding mysteries that remain from that day, you probably came away disappointed because there weren't any answers provided. For example, we still don't know who shot an unarmed Air Force veteran called Ashley Babbitt or why she was killed. We still don't know what's on those thousands of hours of surveillance footage that the government, for some reason, persists in hiding from us. Why can't we see it? We still don't know how many FBI informants were in the crowd inside the Capitol on January 6th, or to what extent they encouraged others to break the law. Why can't we know? Someday, we'll get the answers. We always do. But the hearings today seem designed to keep those answers from us. So much for transparency. The one thing we did learn, it's something we'd long suspected but had never seen confirmed, is that an awful lot of members of Congress are emotionally fragile. Some seem unstable, really. Some to the point they might qualify for federal disability on those grounds. They certainly cry a lot. As members of Congress filed into the House chamber, a servant handed out tissues for the weeping that was certain to ensue. It didn't take long for Republican Adam Kinzinger of Illinois to make good use of the Kleenex. Watch.
I never expected a day to be quite as emotional for me as it has been. You know, you talk about the impact of that day. But you guys won. You guys held. You know, democracies are not defined by our bad days. We're defined by how we come back from bad days, how we take accountability for that.
It was all too much for Adam Kinzinger. He wept just thinking of it. He let himself go, let it all pour out right there in the hearing. Couldn't help it. Kinzinger hadn't cried this hard since he drank too much rosé while watching the final rose ceremony on The Bachelor, the one where they were mean to Brianna. Adam Kinzinger is a highly sensitive plant, and he doesn't care who knows it. But what surprised us was Adam Schiff of California. You think of Adam Schiff as a kind of tough character. A few years ago, he single-handedly took on an entire Facebook page full of Russian memes and lived to tell the story. Schiff once accused us on this set of working for Vladimir Putin, so naturally we pegged him as a pretty hard guy. But even Putin-fighting heroes have their limits. As Schiff recalled the horrible image, the nightmare really, of the QAnon shaman wandering aimlessly around the Capitol in a psilocybin haze, carrying the American flag, he broke down and pretended to cry. Watch it if you can. It's a moving moment.
And God help us. And if we're so driven by bigotry and hate that we attack our fellow citizens as traitors, if they're born in another country or they don't look like us, and God help us. But I have faith because of folks like you. And Adam, I didn't expect this would be quite so emotional either, but it must be an Adam thing today.
Yeah, it's an Adam thing. Did Adam Schiff just complain that others were calling people traitors? Really? He cried anyway. And suddenly you could see why these guys want women to fight our wars. We may have no choice. They're clearly not up for it. Now, how afraid are Schiff and Kinzinger and their friends in Congress of the QAnon shaman coming back? Well, they're afraid enough that they've allocated themselves more police protection than most American cities get at a time when most American cities are becoming much more dangerous and thousands of Americans are dying. And that's not an exaggeration, by the way. We pulled the numbers. The U.S. Capitol Police, their personal bodyguards, have a budget of more than $460 million a year, and that number is rising. How much money is that? Well, for perspective here, the police budget for the entire famously dangerous city of Detroit is well under $380 million. Oh, so the U.S. Capitol, 535 elected representatives, have almost $100 million more per year in law enforcement money than the entire city of Detroit. In Atlanta, where shoppers are routinely shot at the mall, the police budget is just over $200 million a year, less than half of what those 535 members allocate themselves. Now, to be fair, no one in Detroit has to deal with the QAnon shamans, so it's not really an apples-to-apples comparison.